of the November 21st, 2023 meeting agenda. So we are sitting here with an agenda in front of us. Is there anything that the staff thinks should be changed in the agenda as it's proposed here?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to add 2 items to tonight's agenda. The first one is just an addition to other business item A. The staff provided council with a memo, but this addition is for the actual disbursement report that council needs to approve, so that will be added to other business item A. The second item we'd like to add is to new business item B. We are asking the City Council to support a letter of support for Hennepin County and Met Council to apply for a grant to help with anti-displacement efforts related to the Blue Line extension. So we're adding that, like I said, as new business item B, and staff can give a little more information when we get to that point in the meeting.
Okay. Is that okay with you, City Council? And if not, tell me. Otherwise, unless you have something you think should be added to the agenda, is there a motion to approve what tonight's agenda is as described by Chase?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Vote aye. All those opposed say no or nay. That motion carries. So we approved the agenda. Next is the consent agenda. Pursuant to council rules, one motion, non-debatable, will approve the recommendation noted. Any member of the council may withdraw for separate action anything from the consent agenda. Such items removed from the consent agenda will be taken up by the council immediately following approval of the balance of the consent agenda. So, does anybody have anything they want to remove from the consent agenda?
Seeing none,
I do want to remove F for separate discussion, the licenses, approval of the licenses. Regan, go ahead.
yeah, okay, I'll move our consent agenda with the exception of item F.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no or nay. That motion carries. So, what did we approve? We approved the certain minutes of certain meetings, which included the November 8th council meeting, the November 14th City Council work session, the October 26th Planning Commission minutes. We authorized a utility adjustment. We authorized approval of certain credit card changes, and we authorized a Ward 1 polling place location designation. That's a little bit different than some of our other elections. I pulled item F, which is contained on pages 31 through 34 of our materials. And the only thing I'm concerned about in all these, were the business licenses proposed in this? I think they were because I read it. And so the only thing I'm concerned about is you can guess it, the fire permit fee. So is that in here, or is that part of an appendix that we approve later?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the business license you're approving here, our business operations, we'll discuss the fee schedule under new business.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I couldn't remember that. So I move that we approve the licenses that were contained under consent agenda item F. There's 17 of them, and then there's some other ones on page 33. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed
Aye.
say no. That motion carries unanimously. There are no presentations tonight, and there are no public hearings. Old business. There's none. New business. We're being asked to give the first reading of an ordinance adopting updates to Appendix B, the fee schedule, and maybe those licenses that I'm thinking about are there. So that starts on page 37 of our materials.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, so as introduced at the October work session and then again discussed at the November work session, city staff is making recommendations to some of the fee schedule. As you'll recall, Robbinsdale takes an approach updating the fee schedule through ordinance. So what that means, we do have to do a first and second reading. Of course, proper posting for the second. Right now, we're suggesting that be hosted on the 19th of December, about a month from now, and these fees would go effective January 1, 2024. Periodically, staff will go through the entirety of the fee schedule. As some folks may not be aware, it's close to a 40-page document, and really it documents and captures a vast majority of fees that the city may capture. And these can be anything from building permits, the costs that you may have to incur for getting your photo taken for a passport, and everything in between. So rather than go through a hypothetical list, what I will do is run through our bulleted list, and you will see there is a version of highlighted changes of the fee schedule in the back. Again, this is a culmination of staff recommendations. Council's given some feedback over the last couple of meetings. I know that the question comes up specific to a lot of permitting and license procedures. We always look at our neighbors, making sure we're competitive, and there's the litmus test for a lot of these items. There's case law, which I can't cite off the top of my head, that essentially says we as staff have to, we can't exceed the threshold of what it takes for our time to produce or process what goes into these items. So that's always the threshold. We get asked, well, how do you come to that fee? It's usually a combination of we obviously eat a little bit of cost, but we look at what our neighbors are doing, figure that out, and go through the ordinance updating. The last time this would have been done was springtime of '22, so we were looking some adjustments. Just to kind of run through, I did include in your memo here this bulleted list, and I'll go through it real quickly. U.S. passports, photos, that's something that we hadn't captured before as we went through the last time. Realized that this is something that should be dropped in. A return check fee, again, a good example of just what it costs the city. We're passing that cost back on. A couple to call out that I'd like to call out. Body camera footage is one that we shared at the last meeting with council. This used to be a higher rate. We were wanting to, much like other cities, some other cities, not all other cities, have implemented a lower rate, not to deter people from going through this process. Of course, that's subject to public data requests and state guidelines, but that's a fee that's actually being lowered. I call that out because that's not typical. You can see there's a couple on here that are also new related to tree knockdowns. This is a cost that unfortunately we've seen on multiple occasions where we were going through with our prosecutor's office to recollect those fees, but establishing that fee makes this process both easier for us and those who, under whatever circumstance, may be knocking down a tree.
But mostly it's like car accidents.
Car accidents is the primary example.
And your auto insurance, if you're insured, often covers that.
I can't give you a ratio as to how often, but I would suggest that that's a fair assumption, absolutely. One of the that I mentioned, we look at what our neighbors, the conditional use permit process, both out of Code Section 513 and 515, we bumped those up just slightly. The conditional use permit process far exceeds the $250 and $750 fee, but the reasons that we keep them at that level, we don't want to discourage people from going through that process, going through the proper process to ensure that whether it's building or whatever permitting process they might require to reach that proper stage of compliance. We, again, don't want to discourage that. However, we do want to cover, a chunk of staff's time going through that. A couple others, and I know the mayor wants to call one out on here that I would call out. Let's see. Again, some replacement items, both with street lights, street lamps. Those are just, the cost of those items continue to go up. And then on the second page of your memo, you can see we did go through the process of evaluating how we work with some of the local associations and just ensure there's an equitable component when we charge for dragging, lighting, ball field usage essentially. So those are some of the highlights. I would be happy to respond to council's questions, comments, or concerns, but again would note that tonight we're asking for a first reading of the adoption of the ordinance shown in your Exhibit 1. And then we would look to host a second reading again on the 19th of December.
So I think it's very helpful that you highlighted in yellow all these changes, so that's good. I think it's very helpful that you've indicated that we've compared our fees to what other jurisdictions charge. I don't want to be the highest, but I don't want to be the only city that doesn't recover costs. And I think it's helpful that you pointed out in your comments that what we're trying to do, even though we don't get there often, is to recover costs and to balance that with a desire to make it so that people aren't having costs that are so high in some instances that they won't go through the proper legal procedure. So, you know, except for the burning permit, which I'll discuss later, I don't have any comment or change to any of these, but maybe the rest of the council does. Regan.
Tim, what was the body camera footage fee prior to it being lowered to 25?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Murphy was at $75.
Okay. And the police chief was okay with?
Police chief fully supports the change.
Thank you.
Other comments? Okay, so yeah, the burning permit kind of gets me because we were at 35, so this person last year paid 35, and so I'm wondering, is that good enough, or is this, as I wrote in an email to you, is this a one-time parting gift that we give the person that you're going to get 35 for 10 years or 8 years, but just one more time we're going to burn you by making it 50 next year. So what's the thought about that 50 if somebody's already paid their 35?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I guess this is something we did discuss at the last work session. Happy to take council feedback here. The thought was we will, in the administrative process, move forward with grandfathering in those that have issued the permit. The idea is that now the administrative process will highlight that a burning permit will capture a single space, a single installation. So where your permit exists, that allows us to look at the map, have the educational component, go through, being so many feet from a structure. So if you've already acquired this permit, we'll grandfather you in and keep that existing. If you were to change your area where you're hosting your fire, you would be asked to get a new permit. And those going forward, because there will be some additional costs for us for a year-to-year basis, continuing the educational component, getting those materials out to people, et cetera, is why we're making the recommendation for the slight increase.
Okay, so yeah, I think that is probably a good idea, even if it was online, that even though I'm not paying next year, that I have something that I have to click and say, I understand that it's got to be so many feet from the lot line and so many feet from the house and so many feet from vegetation that burns, and I recertify that mine still is. Also, I have this expensive solo thing, like, okay, so you know what they are. Well, that can be on the front driveway or in the backyard. There should be some kind of a way that maybe I have to pay $20 extra at the beginning or something, that I can put this solo thing within at least two spaces, like one in the front yard and one in the backyard, but even preferentially, as long as it's within the perimeter of the area that's not proscribed by the circumstances of being X feet away from the house, the bushes, and the lot line. I would think that kind of a person should be able to use that under the rules within the place that they legally told you about, as long as they comply with the rules. And then a lot of times in teaching, if you have guided practice, it means more to you. So when I don't know if we can do this or whatever. Well, I know we can, but it's a matter of the cost. Like when I'm applying for my new permit, like if there were two answers, like, I understand I must A, put the pit anywhere I want, B, put it at least 15 feet from a house or whatever, that would be a helpful thing if we've got somebody on staff that has got the time to do that, because that makes me in my mind review the rules rather than just going, yeah, so those are my suggestions. And we're gonna have a second reading, so, but I guess I don't disagree with the $50 fee as long as it's grandfathering these people already in.
It's a one-time fee,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I would think for the solo stove, if they should on the application be able to put more than one spot, like you're saying, whether it's the driveway, as long as it fits the.
Yeah, thank you,
Parameters.
Mr. Mayor, Council. What I might suggest, again, in our cleaning up of the administrative side of things, I'd be happy to bring that back to council for review in our interpretation. Candidly, I would imagine that this language was written before the solo was a thing, but I think there's enough room for our interpretation that keeping it far enough from a structure and while maintaining a bit of flexibility for the usage.
All right. Any other comments? So is there a motion, unless you have changes, is there, what page is this on?
37, that's where it starts.
Actual motion. It might be early, it might be late, I don't remember. The only thing I'm worried about is the
38 is.
page 38. All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'd move that we hold the first reading and order the adoption of ordinance 23, which is shown in Exhibit 1. And this is an ordinance adopting amendments to our Robbinsdale ordinance code and general fee schedule.
Second.
Discussion? I don't have the A. The A has fallen out of my signature line, the William A. Blonigan. And my son, the attorney, William J. Blonigan, doesn't like that, so he doesn't want to be confused with me at all. So, other than that, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed saying no or nay. That motion carries. All right, so Chase has indicated that there is a new business item B, support for a grant regarding anti-displacement funding. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is something we actually just got this afternoon. Certainly an opportunistic application, but as I understood when I got the call, felt that we should certainly get in front of council. In part, the due date is next week, so why it got put onto your agenda in the way that it did. Hennepin County reached out to us looking for a letter of support for the community prosperity and anti-displacement support for the Blue Line Extension Project, fiscal year 2023, Thriving Communities Regional Pilot Program Grant. These are some federal dollars that are made available for exactly that. I won't say it again to get tripped up, but again, a bit of an opportunistic opportunity that some grant funding was made available at the federal level, and I'll call out specific to what some of this effort will look at. But before that, a quick look back. The anti-displacement work group has been made up of about 27 to 30 individuals that met from the spring of 22 and ultimately gave recommendation to the Corridor Management Committee on some anti-displacement policies this past May. Formally heard them again in June, and I know they've been sent out to council for review as a part of the process. The anti-displacement philosophy has largely been based in work certainly immediate to the corridor, sort of the residual, both businesses and residents, but also not just during construction, also future as we go forward. So the idea of maintaining, sustaining, and then going forward, the thriving component for all those was a part of that. Robbinsdale did have a representative as a part of the work group that participated in all the meetings, so we certainly had a seat at the table. The three big highlights that I would call out that they are applying for funding here include, first, technical assistance. This is some dollars that they would want to dedicate to, again, all four cities in the corridor, Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park, providing direct support to those communities, again, in the corridor and sort of the residual. A part of the report and a part of the process was very direct in identifying a barrier, to implementing some of those resources that might be out there at a federal level. So by bringing them down to the more local level, they make them more accessible. In large part, many of these communities were a part of the process through anti-displacement, and if not directly, indirectly through those relationships that already existed. Capacity building is a second note that I would call out. A big part of this is collaboration, coordination, and again, the implementation of some of this funding that these smaller, even at the individual level, types of businesses and residents might not be having access to. So it again really promotes a more regional effect to distributing these dollars as a part of during construction and then going forward. And then the peer learning component, this is really to support where the anti-displacement work group kicked off last spring. Where we got our conversation going was very helpful to hear. Green Line Corridor folks came in. We had folks from different cities throughout the country that have been through this process, both in sharing what was working well and what they would support, but also learning from mistakes, which is very helpful. And I would support that kind of effort as we go forward. That learn what worked well and share our mistakes. So the next project, continue to evolve as we go through that process. Ultimately, what we're asking in this letter is if council supports issuing a letter of support. The Hennepin County and the Metropolitan Council are ultimately applying for this, but would see some positives back to the city. Looking for a discussion at this point. I would ask for a formal vote, yea or nay, at the end, just so we can have the mayor sign off or not. And then again, this would be packaged as a part of that application that would go out next week. Happy to respond to any questions, comments, or concerns.
So people can ask their questions, but just preliminarily, this is not a municipal consent vote that we're taking tonight. Whether we are supportive of the county getting this grant from the federal government or wherever, that doesn't encumber us on our vote yea or nay on municipal consent in the future.
Mr. Mayor, that's correct. What we're asking for is whether or not council supports the application of Hennepin County and the Met Council for this grant funding.
Discussion by other people. Regan.
Thank you. I have one question under the capacity building bullet point. It is the I think it's the third sentence. It begins, it will support the integration of this work in related corridor projects, including the proposed 21st Avenue Bridge, Minneapolis station area planning, so forth. I'm just curious why it specifically calls out Minneapolis. And I'm assuming this is a form. I mean, they provided this for some guidance for us, right? Why does it call out Minneapolis specifically, and not in general? If it includes, it's several times, it lists all the different cities along the corridor. So that was my only kind of.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Murphy, great question, and you're correct to assume that this was largely based on a form letter. To be perfectly candid, something we got about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yep.
A part of why it's not much more beefed up. The infrastructure component is important to make a successful grant application, so I think part of the thinking was, let's put in a major piece of infrastructure in here. Beyond that, as you note, Robbinsdale is noted a number of times. The effort is specific to the corridor, but as to why that bridge was specifically called out, I don't have an answer.
Well, it's not just the bridge. It says Minneapolis station area planning, and depending on how you interpret grammar, it could also be Minneapolis Park, Minneapolis public realm plans, and housing related to Minneapolis. So I just think it should be changed in our letter, or
Is it only in that one paragraph, or you found it
Yeah.
where all over the place?
it was just that one paragraph where it just specifically says Minneapolis. So I think we either alter it to say Robbinsdale instead, or communities along the corridor. That was.
I agree.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, I apologize that it maybe wasn't direct, that this is certainly, we can work out this letter, so anything that gets approved, we're happy to workshop here tonight.
Yeah, perfect, thanks. That's my only comment on, otherwise I support it. I don't know if what council thinks how to word that maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, I would just, that was the one comment I immediately had as well. So I would just remove the 21st Avenue Bridge and change Minneapolis to Robbinsdale.
And make it specific to Robbinsdale.
Just say like including Robbinsdale Station Area Planning, and just getting rid of the proposed 21st Avenue Bridge.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I agree. I will say I am really glad that I'm glad to support this effort to get grant funding. I think anti-displacement is often something that comes up top of mind with this scale of a project, so I fully support our efforts to get some grant funding to support this work.
So, last, at a work session, you had this big packet that came to you that none of us really wanted to take home. They mailed it to me anyway, or it was in my packet eventually that I discovered when I got home this weekend. And I wasn't going to read the whole thing, but I flipped through it, and I saw that some of the grants that will be given will be dependent upon municipal consent. So, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with these particular grants for the anti-displacement that they're putting in. So that would be a thing to discover later. I've also read that the Blue Line Extension anti-displacement efforts are sort of leading the nation. They're very comprehensive as compared to what's been done in the past, and people are looking to this line to see about anti-displacement and how do you handle that a little bit better in the future. I'm concerned eventually, not because of this letter or the grant, but I'm concerned eventually that our big brother, Minneapolis, and then our bigger city to the north, Brooklyn Park, will suck up all of the benefits of the anti-displacement monies. And I know you've talked to me before, Tim, as the city manager, about what concerns you've given to the corridor management people about us being able to avail ourselves of anti-displacement monies. So that's probably something you should either write to the council about or tell them about now, if that's simpler. Yeah, so I'm concerned about that we get our share. I did ask the people, as part of my job at the Corridor Management Committee, as our voting delegate, and Aaron's the alternate, I did ask them to tell me what kind of anti-displacement efforts or contacts they've made to our businesses at this point in time, because I was concerned about just benefiting Minneapolis. They wrote an email to me, and I think I might have forwarded it to you. In a way, it should be a public document. I think if the rest of the council members don't have that email, you should forward that to them so that they can see what the answer was when I asked that question. And they have made some efforts, so I'm pleased. They've made some extensive efforts with our businesses to do some things. So those are my observations and questions, and I don't know if you want to share what I asked you about what you told me about what you, as the city manager, have been doing in order to make sure that we get our share of anti-displacement considerations in Robbinsdale, and being a small city, what our particular difficulties are.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So to go back to Councilmember Parisian's comment, I do want to note what I think she was alluding to. We're at a point with a lot of this anti-displacement work that policies have been identified, programs have been identified as very valuable. But connecting that with funding is kind of the next big question mark, that when we go out and we connect with, again, either as residents, businesses, some combination, we get a lot of, yeah, this sounds great, who's going to pay for it? So we're now at the point, the legislator stepped up, I'd say, with the first swing. Last springtime, they allocated about $50 million to the communications plan as to light rail, not just anti-displacement, but light rail kind of next steps. $50 million certainly goes quick, but that's, it's no small amount. But I think that's kind of the snowball effect we're starting to see. When I say opportunistic with this grant application, I don't mean that in a negative way. As those opportunities come up, we may be of a direct applicant, Hennepin County, Met Council, or a team effort like this. So again, I think what Councilmember Parisian was alluding to was we're now at that point to move forward and identify funding sources and bringing those together with the policies that have been advocated. To segue to Mayor Blonigan's comments, the anti-displacement work group certainly was a collective effort, all 4 cities along the corridor, good representation from cities, a little bit from county and the Met Council, but a lot of businesses, some residential. So I think it was a good, not just geographic, but a good representation of the entirety of the corridor. That said, I've taken a leadership role in that process, but then beyond that, moving into conversations with the project office directly, the corridor management committee. We have what we call a standing IRT issues resolution team that meets with the project office every couple of weeks. And each city has advocated in a little bit different way. 27, 28 policies and programs have moved forward as a recommendation for approval to the CMC, but in the way that would best fit Robbinsdale is not the same way that it's going to benefit Minneapolis. Some of that's economy of scale, some of that's just sheer size, but what we're asking in large part for is resources. Dollars can be allocated in a larger capacity to say, for example, in Minneapolis, where they have the personnel, they've got the mechanisms built in, they've got that support structure existing. Dollars can come in and go out for this kind of process a lot easier. We as Robbinsdale, we're not built out to that size, smaller staff, smaller city. So what the mayor was alluding to is what we've been advocating for is just resources direct to Robbinsdale that we can allocate as see fit. There's some of the policies, for those that haven't reviewed, just aren't within the capacity, again, of Robbinsdale. We talk about some like land granting opportunities, and Hennepin County and Minneapolis own a lot of land, both along Broadway and 21st in North Minneapolis, but the city of Robbinsdale does not own a lot of land. So a policy like that just doesn't fit for our city. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to be supportive of, again, businesses and residents along the corridor in dedicating resources to whatever plight that might be. So why we advocate in that way is so we can best, get those resources back out direct to folks.
So I often bring you these problems, and I discover that you're already on top of it. So I appreciate that. And council members, feel free to call the city managers, I know you will, and find out your answers to these important things. Okay, so you're asking us to do what? Where's the motion that you're asking us to?
Mr. Mayor, you're not going to see a memo in there because, like I say, it's about as quick as we got it. We whipped together a quick draft to get you the letter. What I would take is a motion to approve the letter, authorize the mayor to sign, and then give staff direction to send back to the Hennepin County and Met Council for their grant application. I would note, just to make sure I've captured the language correctly, the adjustment of the sentence we discussed to say, pull this up, I'm bouncing around. You will also support the integration of this work and related corridor projects, including the proposed Robbinsdale Station Area Planning, Park and Public Realm plans, as well as related housing, economic development, public health, and climate efforts.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right. Is there a motion to that effect to direct the mayor to direct the staff to draft the letter or complete the letter, and then the mayor to sign the letter and send it along.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to add that I think this is great. I do wish there was a little more heads up on this and kind of a better understanding of what the TCPR grant or funding will do. It looks good, and I just want to say that the Kira study as well that they call out in this letter has a bunch of really cool recommendations, including a number of suggestions for renters protections that I think, when we think about displacement, oftentimes, we rightfully think of business owners and the impact for them and homeowners as well, but oftentimes in those residential, privately owned apartment buildings, there's tenants that don't have a seat at the table, and that Kira study tries to address some of that inequity. So I hope that through this, program, these funds can bring their voices to the table as well. So I'm happy to support this and see this, and thank you for getting it in front of us so quickly.
I'll add to that too. I'm glad you mentioned the Kira organization, because I've had the opportunity to speak with representatives and I believe the director of these efforts at some of the community engagement events. I know we had one at Elam Church a few times over the last year or so. So they've definitely been involved with reaching out and sharing what they're doing in these anti-displacement work. So it's great to see them included in this letter too. So thanks for calling that out.
So CURA, C-U-R-A, that they refer to as the University of Minnesota's Center for Urban and Regional Affairs, C-U-R-A. Yeah, and I go along with those comments of Aaron and Mia also. Any more comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no or nay. That motion carries. Next, we have voucher requests that we have the memo that Chase referred to earlier for approval for disbursement. Is there a motion to approve those requests?
I'll move we approve the voucher requests.
Second.
Discussion regarding that or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no or nay. Oh, that motion carried. Administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I got a few quick things. Would remind folks that the next meeting, the 5th of December, the City Council will go through the process of what I consider one of the certainly most challenging in that it's complicated and challenging in that it's difficult, that the decision-making comes forward through the approval of the levy. This is, of course, a process that started going back as far as last spring, work sessions in both October and November, and certainly a number of discussions, whether at the individual level or comprehensively throughout that time period. The 5th is the Truth and Taxation meeting. That's, of course, at 7 o'clock here at City Hall as part of the regular council meeting. And again, we'll be asking for council approval. If residents do have questions, comments, concerns, I strongly encourage you to reach out to staff, whether it's myself, the finance director. A lot of people at City Hall can walk you through what your questions might be. So we strongly encourage folks to reach out to us. Would also note that on the 19th is when council would approve the 10-year CIP or capital improvement plan. Those are the formal items. We will start getting out, just got the hot off the presses today, the fancy new info sheet to kind of walk people through what the proposed levy will look like. I don't know that this can be zoomed in on, but we'll certainly get that out digitally, and we have printed copies here at City Hall for those who may like them. Also on the 5th, would note that the annual tree lighting will happen at 6 p.m., about an hour before the meeting. Fun event. We've got some singing planned. I know the mayor likes to take a lead in that. We'll see if that happens again this year, or maybe he'll delegate that responsibility. But there is a toy drive. We're also doing a food drive with two of the local groups. Both Near and Prism have asked us to help out this time of year. So if you are so inclined, please consider that donation when you attend on the 5th. Thursday the 7th, a full week of items. The Robbinsdale City Band has a concert at Crystal Community Center. That's at 7:30. And the last thing I want to note, as we continue to talk about different considerations related to the LRT, we will be having a comprehensive work session in January. A date is TBD. It may be on the standing meeting. More of that to come in December.
The comprehensive work session in January, are you talking about a goals session, or what are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, Council, the LRT, the light rail, we're going to continue a comprehensive conversation. So that's going to include everything from station area planning, updates on anti-displacement. We want to do a deep dive into where we as staff think the project office has not responded to your letter from last spring, wanting to see some things. As the project continues to become more and more engineered, the threshold of 30% really is what triggers municipal consent, and I know that's a big item for people. And while no hard date is set, we're projecting that to be next summer. The intent of having a comprehensive LRT discussion in January is to make sure you're getting your questions answered. Staff can, certainly provide what we can that night. It may result in scheduling something February, March, April. Again, whatever the appetite of the council is, but just making sure we're doing a check-in and getting what you need.
Okay. Okay, City Council, your communications, Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Three things. First one, yard waste. Tim, any updates on that?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, we're working with the hauler right now to see if we can get a temporary drop-off site. I hope to have more news tomorrow. We're like a lot of cities that didn't plan for a wet fall and 60 degrees a week ago. So those silver maples have been sticky, I know. But as soon as we've got information about a temporary drop site, we'll be sure to share that.
Okay, thank you. Second item, Kick Rocks was applied for a permit, or it was a permit. Do you have any information on that new business and where that might be? It was a tattoo and, dang it.
Is it the Body Ink?
Yes, Body Ink and something shop.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, I could pull up if you give me a moment here.
Where's my, oh, here we go. Yeah, Kick Rocks Ink and Art Studio.
Page 34.
Thank you.
And
Let's see, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, I do believe this is related to some ordinance language that was updated by council in the last couple of months. And I'm just trying to confirm that here.
Yeah, we rezoned or conditional, I don't know if it was a rezoning or a conditional use for that, I believe for that studio.
I couldn't remember where it was.
It's,
Was it in Robbinsdale Center?
Further down, further south.
Oh, was it on like West Broadway? Down towards, is that little tiny commercial building before you get to Birdtown Flats?
Of course, I'm having some connectivity issues here.
No, that's fine. You can give it. I'll just give you the last thing. I was just curious where that was. The last thing was the kiosks at Cub that are going to be selling pull tabs, or not pull tabs, guard tabs. City of Robbinsdale is getting a portion of that fee. Is that correct? I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, I don't have off the top of my head the exact breakdown. The way the algorithm works has to do with a state's assumption as to how much business it might take from other DEPS departments, including ours. So notably, there has been one installed at the Cub Foods on 36th, I think is what you're referencing. And we will be getting a share of that. it literally went in last week, and they kind of did a soft opening, and I think the news caught it now. So it'll take a couple of weeks until we get a first look as to what that'll actually look like. But we do collect revenue from that.
Okay, thanks. I mean, what is it based on? Because, obviously they've got where the person lives, based on their tabs and vehicle registration. So do we get, if they live in Robbinsdale, do we get a portion of that, or don't you know yet? Like,
Yeah, I think
an algorithm.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Murphy, the breakdown would remain. So in the county, depending on which county you live in, a wheelage tax, for example, would still go back to that specific county. The fee that we collect here at our DEPS department is specific to where it's processed. The assumption, again, at the state level was then that these were implemented, all the individual DEPS are going to lose some level of those fees. So there, again, is an algorithm where we get a chunk of that, but that's also split up between other DEPS departments.
So we just got to wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
We should just keep an eye on that, what our losses might be compared to what we get in return, obviously. But, okay, thank you. That was it.
So, yeah, I would assume on that topic that it goes partially by how close they are to us, the algorithm, and at a certain point in time, like, just take away all our money, we won't be doing this anymore because we don't need to lose money doing this. Okay. Councilmember Parisian.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to give a very brief update. Had a wonderful week last week at National League of Cities City Summit in Atlanta. Really awesome event put on by the NLC, and even the League of Minnesota Cities had a good presence and had a good event for us Minnesota folks. Really wonderful learning experience. I learned a lot, met a lot of great folks from all over the country who are, I think the big takeaway for me is cities big and small are solving the same kinds of problems that we're doing here behind this desk. So I would like to ask staff for maybe a few minutes at an upcoming work session. I'll let you decide when that might fit in best, but I'd love to share out some of the things that I learned and resources that I'd like to share with staff and the rest of the council. And that's all.
Okay. Councilmember Wagner.
Don't really have much, just I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Okay, yes. I would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a great time with your family and your friends, however you may celebrate it. I went to the same conference as Mia one day after her, and I came home one day after her, and had much of the same experiences. I will share more about what I learned at these various different sessions at the council meeting or the council work session that Mia is talking about that you eventually schedule. One thing that I did go to was this session that was very relevant to what we had just talked about. That was, how do you hire and develop your staff in these times of difficulty? And I asked the presenter to send me the PDF of what she presented, so I forwarded that to Tim, and I think he'll forward that to all of you, and you can kind of glance over that, and it'll certainly be faster for you to look at it than to listen to me talk about it. But they did have a lot of different points, and they went through the 7 main points that you want to touch on to get a stable and good staff. And not surprisingly, number 1 was the salary. I mean, but there were a lot of other things that beyond salary that showed you what you could do for your staff. So I thought that one was cool. A lot of other PDFs I have and some notes, so I will share those too at a meeting. And beyond that, I don't have anything. So a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no or nay. That motion carries. We're adjourned.